Good afternoon. Welcome to the second episode of the show. I am your host, AJ, if you did not know that. We'll be going over some fantasy football tips, some quarterback news from the Bears and the Packers, and then we'll go over my top 10 sports personalities. So stick around and find out what's up. Now for your quote of the week. We're all pretty bizarre. Some of us are just better at hiding it. That's all. That quote kind of speaks to me as nobody's really normal. We have our own special quirks, and that's okay. I mean, as long as you embrace them and just learn to like yourself, that's all it really matters. Man, I need to get some coffee creamer. I really do not enjoy drinking my coffee black. I mean, I understand people like it, but just not me. So, I mean, this is a question I have. Does coffee creamer dilute the caffeine within coffee? Because I really don't know. I mean, if you know, leave a comment. That way, I know if it's going to affect my energy levels when I get creamer or not. So we're going to start off with some breaking news. Actually, Jamar Chase is opting out of the fall 2020 college football season to focus on the 2021 draft. He's the nation's top wideout receiver. He plays for LSU. Last year, he won a national championship with Joe Burrow and the LSU Tigers. He led the nation in receiving yards and TDs. I mean, I guess where I'm really not sure is why he's opting out. Sources say it's not COVID related, so we know that for sure. Maybe he just doesn't see LSU being a national or even an SEC conference title contender this season because you're missing Joe Burrow, Justin Jefferson, who's another good wide receiver, and you're also missing defensive coordinator Dave Arana, who just recently accepted the head coaching position for Baylor. I mean, just looking from LSU's training camp, maybe he's just not seeing that same, he's just not seeing that same success with the new starting quarterback, Miles Brennan, as someone to elevate his game to improve his draft stock. Maybe he sees that he may not get as many touches or good big plays, and that could potentially hurt his own draft stock. Last year, Chase was top 15 in receptions, so he needs all the receptions to show how well he is for the draft. Hopefully, we'll find out soon. If I have any updates, I might let you guys know. So, speaking of the NFL, when NFL happens, usually fantasy football happens. And I'm in a league with a buddy and his friends, and I'm also in a league with my coworkers. This is the first time I'm in the league with my coworkers, so I got to show my dominance in the office. Well, technically, I'm in my home office, but you know what I mean. So here's some tips. Tip number 1, the best NFL player is not the best fantasy player. Patrick Mahomes is arguably the best quarterback and possibly the most valuable player in the NFL, but his position does not generate points that you need to on a consistent basis that's going to help you win week to week. Find a player that will not just generate a lot of yards. Find one that will get a lot of touches and is most probable to score a TD. And there's always resources and people that make these projections, so pay attention and you can definitely learn something to save you some time. And number 2, draft your running backs and wide receivers first, then your quarterback, defense, and your kicker last. Star running backs have a lot of usage, and there's less rotation compared to receivers, so that's why I recommend getting your running back first. Defenses and kickers usually produce the least amount of points, and so it's like they're not as valuable to you. So it's okay to just wait till the end of the wait till the end of the draft to get them. And quarterbacks, I recommend getting your starter in like the late middle, and if you see a good one available for your backup quarter, you can probably get that one before your kicker. And number 3, don't panic if you suck ass weeks in a row. There's a lot of things in uncertainty with games. I mean, there's going to be bad stretches for teams and players throughout the season. There's some factors you can't even predict, such as injury and pregnancies. Last year, my starting tight end didn't play because his wife was going to labor. Like, I couldn't predict that, honestly. So, yeah, you just got to make sure that you just kind of be prepared for the unexpected. If you see that one of your players on your roster is playing a trash defense and they're at home, consider starting them. They might have a breakup performance. And then pay attention to performance consistency. I mean, if you don't see that they're consistently performing and they're playing like trash, consider trading within your league. I'm sure someone could find some value for them. So going on to the Bears, recently head coach Matt Nagy announced that they will not be announcing the starting quarterback until the season opener. As some of you may know, the two quarterbacks that are fighting for the starting position is Mitchell Trubisky and recently signed Nick Foles. I'm kind of going through the pros and cons of each of them. Nick Foles is a very efficient player. He minimizes his picks, but he's never really had a quite stellar season. His best season was in 2013. He threw 27 TDs with only 2 interceptions with an 119 passer rating, which is a very efficient and dominating season. But that was 7 years ago. I mean, I haven't seen much since that Super Bowl run. And then Mitch, he's definitely very athletic, and he's somewhat of a mobile quarterback, so he can throw and run the ball. My question is, how good is his decision-making skills? So one of my friends gave me this really great comparison between Jameis Winston and Mitch Trubisky. Jameis Winston thinks everybody's open. Mitch thinks nobody's open. So I think when Mitch plays, he doesn't make those tight window throws as often because he just doesn't see an opening for a spot for them to make the throw. And one thing I want to consider when picking the quarterback is what is their playoff experience? Because at the end of the day, you want to get your team not only to the playoffs, but to advance through the playoffs. So starting with Nick, he's been in the league for 8 years and he's had 6 total playoff games. He's also a Super Bowl MVP, and he had arguably one of the best playoff stretches with the Eagles in 2017, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. In that Super Bowl run, he had a passer rating of 115, so pretty impressive. Then Mitch, he's been in the league for 3 years. He's only had 1 playoff game, and he had an 89 passer rating, which they lost that game. I'm sure Bears fans know which game I'm talking about. So who's going to get the starting job? Well, I think it should be whoever's the most consistent, but honestly, I do not know. Mitch has more time to improve, but if he doesn't show progression this year, he may be on another team in the following season. And Nick Foles is being paid the most at the moment, and it's obvious the Bears expect him to play at that Super Bowl level caliber that he was with the Eagles. I mean, I'm going to go on a limb and say that Nick Foles will be the starting quarterback simply for the fact that the Bears still don't know who it is yet, even though they've had their guy for 3 years. Foles will protect the ball and let the defense take the star power. But who knows? Maybe running back David Montgomery have a breakout year. The Bears just kind of change how to utilize him to help elevate his game. And then going on to the Packers with their quarterback. Some of you may know that the Packers selected Jordan Love as their first-round quarterback, and some people were quite questioned the decision because they were expecting a wide receiver. And there's been some videos of some practices, and it looks like Love is struggling with a few drills in the first week of practice. However, Rodgers, being the great quarterback and leader he has been in the past, has shown support for him and help him out and help him progress. I think in a way he wants his approach to be different than it was when Brett Favre was his mentor. Well, technically not mentor, but leading quarterback. I mean, I saw the video, and as I mentioned, Love was struggling, but Rodgers gave him some tips and then kind of gave him a demonstration of how to do it. So I think Love's in good hands with Rodgers at least. I believe that their other quarterback, Tim Boyle, will most likely be QB2. He's been on the roster for at least 2 years, and he's even played a few games. And they're not bad games either. Honestly, I'm not really a bit worried that that Jordan Love is not ready to start a game. Packers they kind of an old school approach to their quarterbacks, like versus teams that usually start their rookie quarterbacks right away. I mean, also the Packers still have a top quarterback that's still ready to play. Sure, he's not what he used to be, but he's still considered as somewhat elite quarterback in the league today. I mean, you got to remember, Rodgers was considered a product too when he got drafted. He didn't start his first game until year 4. His first game as a rookie, when Brett sat the bench for maybe a couple plays, Rodgers played 3 games his rookie season. He threw 0 TDs and 1 interception. That's not obviously a quarterback that's ready to start in the league. But you know the story. Like, eventually he got better and he showed what's up and that he is an elite quarterback. He just wasn't ready his rookie year, and that's the same with Jordan Love. And even Matt LaFleur, the head coach, isn't really concerned. He's just expecting a steady and consistent progression with Love. That's all you got to do. He's just got to learn and just absorb the knowledge. I've said in previous blog posts that Love could be the most talented quarterback in his draft class. He can extend plays, throw decent deep balls, and he can make them NFL-type window throws. He just needs to learn things, and eventually it'll come natural to him once he gets the hang of it. Remember, there was a pandemic going on. There was the delay on hands-on training and actual practice. So there's circumstances that are affecting his progression. I mean, here's a pic of Aaron Rodgers with the young quarterbacks. This includes Love and Boyle. I mean, not going to lie, the baddest man on the planet has been looking a little scruffy these past 2 years. He looks like he should be in that movie No Country for Old Men. I mean, I am a fan of the handlebar mustache, though. I mean, Ron Burgundy looking ass. So I'm going to go over my top 10 sports media personalities. This list contains my top 10 TV/YouTube sports personalities. These people deliver top sports headlines on their show, give deep analysis of predictions, what the film says, and more importantly, they vividly express their opinions and make others engage. They're entertaining, they keep their overall show entertaining. So starting with number 10, Colin Cowherd. Some people don't like him because he gives crazy opinions and they're just a little abnormal. He's just kind of lame. Not really lame, but I don't know. He just comes off as like a dad just trying too hard. I mean, he always gives a lot of analogies on marriage and being a dad. He's just a little, I don't know, I guess quirky. I don't know, but when I listen to him, he gets me thinking. Even if I disagree with him, that's just kind of how he portrays his message, where he gets you engaged and makes you think of what you would say in this situation. His segments are a little creative. He turned a list of QBs into a tender swapping game, which I thought was kind of neat. And then he has his own NBA Cowherd awards, and his setup is probably the largest I see on TV. His show is on Fox Sports, so he definitely has that capability, but it's a nice setup. I like it. And then number 9 is Greg Jennings. Jennings is a former Super Bowl champion. He played for the Green Bay Packers. He won a Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers and company. What I like about it, he's very objective towards even his former teammates, including Rodgers. He can call him out if he disagrees with something Rodgers says or does. And he kind of helps me become a little less biased towards Rodgers, kind of puts me in check a little bit. He gives a good player perspective, especially from the wide receiver position, since he is kind of the only media personalities that a former wide receiver. So it's nice to have that kind of knowledge and background. And then number 8, Urban Meyer. Urban Meyer is kind of one of the most decorated coaches in recent college football. He won 3 national championships. He won 2 national championships with Florida, and then he won 1 national championship with Ohio State. He's produced some top college quarterbacks, which include Alex Smith and Tim Tebow. He retired right after the 2019 Rose Bowl, which Ohio State won, and now he is a sports analyst within Fox Sports. I like how he gives his insights on coaching from a coaching perspective. He's easy to listen to because he's had such big success. He has that credibility, so it's easy for me at least to kind of follow to what he's saying. Number 7 goes to a YouTuber called Brett Coleman. He creates football analysis videos. His analysis are out of this world. He takes X's and O videos into a whole nother level of detail that I would have never thought of. His videos help me understand the importance of reading football plays from the offensive and defensive position. The number 6 goes to Skip Bayless. Skip used to work on ESPN with Stephen A. Smith and eventually moved to Fox Sports to start a debate show with Shannon Sharpe. He's a huge Michael Jordan and Tom Brady fan. 90% of the time, they can do no wrong in his eyes. Tom Brady can literally just go to like a 7-Eleven and rob it, and Skip Bayless will find a way to justify it. I mean, I had this love-hate relationship with Skip for years. His stubbornness makes me want to pull my hair out and bang my head against the wall. Especially when he will never admit anyone is a better player than Tom Brady or Michael Jordan. Sometimes I question his knowledge of the game from the contextual level. That's because he's very stat dependent. He provides second level stats that I sometimes use in my findings, such as QBR, number of throwaways, defensive win shares, and the plus minus in the NBA. Even though I disagree with him about 85% of the time, I love most of his personality. He's definitely a real dude, and he has great shoe game. He always comes into the studio with his black suit and then wears a pair of Air Jordans. And I like his little odd couple friendship with Lil Wayne. Apparently they're like real best friends. Lil Wayne gave Skip a present on show. It's a necklace that says Skip. And he even loaned his car to Skip for the Super Bowl show. And Skip is also known as Drip Bayless, which I thought was pretty tight. Number 5 goes to Shannon Sharpe. Sharpe's a former tight end for the Broncos and Ravens. He's a 3-time Super Bowl champ. He finished his career as an all-time leader in tight end reception, yards, and receiving TDs. Eventually, those 3 records were broken by Tony Gonzalez and Jason Witten. He was a former analyst for CV Sports, and he's currently on the Undisputed show with Skip.
Stop it, Skip!
His knowledge of the football game is beyond anything I expect from a normal personality, mostly because he has so many experience in the game. He gives easily understandable and humorous analogies to his points. Some of them would just be like something his grandma told him when he was a kid. I really like his knowledge of the basketball game too. If I didn't know, I would assume that he used to play for the NBA as well. And FYI, his thing with Patrick Mahomes, he calls him Patrick Mahomes boy. He stole that from me. He probably saw one of my tweets and saw that I tweeted Patrick Mahomes, and that's where it clicked to him. So I want restitution.
I want restitution!
What I love most are his strong stances on social and political issues, especially if they affect players and Black Americans. He's just an all-around great personality. I wouldn't mind having a couple mild and yaks with this guy, honestly. Number 4 goes to Tom Grossi. Grossi is a YouTuber with a football podcast that mostly focuses on the Green Bay Packers. It's called The Packcast. He is a full-time teacher and has a stand-up and improv background. His podcast incorporates humorous elements in his sketches, and he provides me the perfect content I need if I'm looking for something regarding Aaron Rodgers or the Green Bay Packers or even the NFC North. So he's a great source of content for that. What I enjoy most is he's just a very relatable fan. Even though he has a full-time job, he still can make great content that's quick and easy to follow. And his show kind of gives me confidence that I can do the same thing in my circumstances. Then we get to the 3. Number 3 goes to Joel Klatt. Joel Klatt set 19 school records at the University of Colorado as a starting QB. He had a baseball stint before he was a college player. He went to broadcasting right after his college career, and he currently hosts on the Fox Big Noon Saturday, and he appears time to time, especially for college football segments in Colin's show. He is the complete source of truth for college football. He's been solely on college football for the majority of his broadcasting career, and he knows virtually anything about the Power 5 conferences. What I like most about Klatt is just his confidence and swagger. He pretty much has a rebuttal to any argument regarding the sport. When he's about to give his argument, I sometimes wince a little bit because he's about to put this guy on blast right now, especially when it's Colin Cowherd, because it's not that hard to do, but he just does it the best, and sometimes I feel bad for him. And then number 2 goes to my man, Stephen A. Smith. When Stephen A. was in college, he played basketball, and where he also began his print media career. Eventually, he moved up to be an NBA columnist for the Philadelphia 76ers, transitioned to radio in 2005, and eventually TV. Stephen A. is predominantly known to work with ESPN with his former co-host Skip, and then eventually he moved on to First Take with Max Kellerman. He provides accurate and well-written information. What makes him so unique is his wacky and sporadic personality. He'll just go into outbursts when he's frustrated, like a player, a team, or a co-host. He's just notoriously known for his hilarious memes by his one-liner jokes, outbursts, and catchphrases. You have at least seen one Stephen A. Smith meme on Twitter or Instagram. In the beginning, Stephen A. was the first personality that taught me sports. I watched sports in college, and that's when I started watching it, and I didn't know where to start. He was my go-to because he was the most popular personality, and I could listen to his show every day at my internship. I had a desk job, so I can just put on some headphones and just type and listen to a show while I absorb information. His story is kind of inspiring, actually, especially his grind. He grew up as an illiterate child and had trouble in grade school. One of his first journalist pieces that he had was writing a column for his college soccer team. He's never watched a college soccer game ever, so he went to practice, asked to shadow the team, and learn the game. Eventually, he found a soccer piece to write about. And how do I know about this story? Well, Stephen A. actually came to my college, Iowa State, and he was interviewed in front of a live audience. Because I was part of the school organization that set up the show, I was able to briefly meet him after the show. I sarcastically told him the joke about the Cowboys winning the Super Bowl because he's a huge Cowboy fans hater, and I just kind of wanted to, lighten up the mood, and because I'm a fan of him, so I just kind of want to get a good impression. I could tell he was pretty exhausted because it was a late show. He had a late flight coming into the show. He had pretty much no energy for my corny ass joke. This was pretty much his face when I told him the joke.
I am having a very bad day. I am in no mood.
Before I get to my number one pick, I'd like to give an honorable mention to Marcus Wiley and Emilio Acho. These guys are in Fox Sports. They have their own show. What I like about their show is they're just very well-educated guys. They're former football players, and they have great vocabulary, and they just kind of give another perspective of what I normally don't see in the normal media platform. And they're just fun. They have a real good dynamic duo thing going on. I definitely recommend them to watch on Fox Sports. My number one media personality is Zach Schomler. You probably don't know who he is. So Zach is a former college football player and is now a full-time YouTube podcaster. I discovered him when I was on YouTube, and I got a video recommendation, which was one of his videos. He gave a film analysis of former Texas A&M quarterback Johnny Manziel. Johnny Manziel, before this video, Johnny Manziel was one of my favorite college players. He was just great to watch because he was so incredibly mobile. He could extend plays, and he made the game so exciting. I thought he failed in the NFL just because he just, was a party animal and had bad work ethic. But Zach opened my eyes and mentioned things I would have never thought of. In the video, he explained Manziel's mechanical errors, how the offense was designed to make him look great, how elite his receivers were, including Mike Evans, who is now with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and that no one really gave him that reality check before the NFL. Everyone just said he was the best of the best. Everyone just hyped him up all the time. No one really called him out on how his game was. And sadly, he had to learn that the hard way when he got to the NFL, and that led to his demise. Zach provides content outside of just football analyses. He's talked about the NBA, college basketball, MLB, XFL, and even Formula One racing. I appreciate his insights and attention to detail on all the things that he discusses, and especially things that aren't normally discussed in TV media. What I love most about his show is he shows his true love for sports. He expresses it very vividly, and he makes the show so organic, and that's probably why it's so successful. His style is very similar to how I want my show to be, just organic and just showing my love for the game of sports. So that's it for my list, and hopefully this gives you a better understanding of my influences of why and how I want my show to be. I didn't really grow up in a predominantly sports family amongst my immediate families. That includes like my mom, my dad, or my sisters, or anyone within this tree. Playing sports was just solely for fun for our family. I mean, our parents didn't have the opportunity to play sports growing up as kids or teenagers. So they want to make sure that we had the opportunity that they didn't have. Growing up, I started playing baseball and basketball from like 5 years old up to high school. And still am, kind of grew up as a skinny kid. I mean, I think in a way that kind of affected my confidence as like a ball player. For years, my mom said, you know, you should try running. I think you'd be really good at it. Eventually, I gave in and I did cross country and track in high school. I noticed right away how much easier it was to like compare to other sports in terms of like how I caught on. I mean, it's very simple. You just move your legs back and forth and then this and that. But more importantly, I just had a lot more fun. My confidence built up, and I finally developed like a competitive drive. Kind of close to the end of my high school career, I competed in a few state competitions and even tied for a school record for cross country, which I thought was one of my best achievements in high school. More importantly, through running, I've met some of my closest friends that I'm still close with to this day. It's just I found people with common interests as me, and then that's why we're such good friends to this day. Then I went to college, and I was solely focused on going to Iowa State just, for the education and studying.
Go AJ.
Yeah, I think you know what I mean. And when I was in Iowa State, I wasn't fastest to run on their actual running team. They're just way too good for my talent. So I ended up running on a running club that's hosted by a school organization. And I was surrounded by talented and hardworking runners, and they also like to drink as much as me. So I bettered as a runner and a drinker throughout those years of college. In my last semester, our club won a national cross-country title, and I ran my best race. And it was a big accomplishment for me because I improved in a race I wasn't the best at, which was the 8K. And I was mostly comfortable with like the shorter distances, such as the half mile or the 400. Now it's post-college. I'm old, worn out, I'm used. Running even leisure is a little difficult for me now. Because of consistent injury in my hip and knee, I had to go to multiple doctors, and I realized that years of bad running mechanics, overtraining, pointless workouts, and improper maintenance of my body essentially led to this lingering issue I've had for 2 years now. It didn't affect me then because I was growing and my body recovered from injury and soreness a lot quicker than I do now. Even though I'm not technically old, I'm only 25 years old, slowing down my mileage and the intensity definitely exposed those weaknesses post-college. So here's an important tip that I want to give to any high school or college athlete. So feel free to share this with someone that may find this helpful. Listen to your coaches and listen to your body, because everyone has that ceiling in their athletic ability, and you should get to that ceiling in the most effective and efficient way possible. That way you can avoid long-term injuries that are going to linger on as you get older post-athletic career. Right now, I'm following a home PT rehab program to help build my strength and flexibility towards my injured muscles. And I bought a book to help me create an efficient workout plan so now I have a better understanding of the importance of listening to your body. I hope to get back on the streets because I still want to show the competitive side of me, because I really enjoy running. It's a good stress reliever from work and other things going on. And it just, I just feel really good. And my favorite part, of course, is the beer after the races, because I don't know about you, but after a long or hard run, an ice cold beer just makes you just feel so good. So yeah, the beer is definitely the best part, but I also just want to beat my personal goals, which on my mind is setting a new 5K personal best. So my advice to you, don't run harder, run smarter. So that wraps up today's show. I'm glad to get this second episode out of the way. I mean, this one was definitely a little bit of a smoother episode for me than the first one. I felt kind of a little more stiff in the first episode. So this one, I kind of, read the tape, saw what was going on, and now I have a better understanding of what I need to be doing in these episodes. So stick around, and I'll post the next video within 2 weeks. So thank you. So like and subscribe, and I'll see you later.